And so let's get started. All right, we're now in session for our main estimates review today. And as we get started, I'll just go through a bit of the formality for today's proceeding. To begin with, pursuant to Standing Order 81-4 and the order of reference of Thursday, April 11th, 2019, the committee will now consider the main estimates for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2020, which are as follows. Vote 1 and 5 under Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency. And with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Hallman for being here for the SIA. Votes 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 under Department of the Environment. And we have our Mr. Lucas here for the department. And votes 1 and 5 under Parks Canada Agency and Mr. Nadler here. I'd also like to welcome our Minister, Minister McKenna, and Parliamentary Secretary Sean Fraser. I will now call vote 1 under the Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency, which will permit general discussion of the estimates and questioning of witnesses. And so what we're going to do is we'll go into the opening statement by the Minister, and then we'll go right into our round of questions. And it's like a regular session where each party will have 6 minutes at a time. We rotate around, and we'll get as far as we can in our discussion by 5 o'clock. I would also like to welcome Ms. Stubbs for the Conservatives, who's here today as our special guest, Ms. Matheson for the NDP, welcome, and Mr. McKinnon on the Liberal side, welcome. With that, Minister, I'll turn it over to you, and you have 10 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the committee. It's great being back. I appreciate the work the committee does. It's really important that action to protect the environment, tackle climate change is not a partisan issue. Je tiens à souligner le travail de mes collègues.
I want to acknowledge the extraordinarily hard work of the colleagues who have joined me today. Sean Fraser, Parliamentary Secretary for this portfolio, Dr. Stephen Lucas, Deputy Minister of Environment and Climate Change Canada, Michael Nadler, Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Parks Canada Agency, and Ron Hallman, President of the Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency. Thank you.
Territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples. I also want to recognize all the people that are suffering with the flooding that's going on. That's people in New Brunswick, in Quebec, in Ontario, in the National Capital Region. I know our members of Parliament are working very hard. Thank you for that. On behalf of the Government of Canada and all Canadians, my department is taking strong action to protect our environment, fight climate change, conserve nature, and grow our economy. On April 11th, the main estimates were tabled. For Environment and Climate Change Canada, the main estimates for 2019-2020 is $1.8 billion. This represents an increase in planned spending of $312.2 million. Cette augmentation est principalement attribuée.
This increase is mainly due to new funding for two priorities. The first is to reprofile funds for the Low Carbon Economy Fund to support our work on climate change and clean growth. The second is to better protect Canada's nature, parks, and wild spaces.
Votes that total to $26.3 million. This includes Canada's marine safety response and funding for strong Arctic and northern communities. De plus, on procédera à la mise en œuvre d'un système.
It also includes ensuring better, more infrastructure and tracking systems through a federal carbon offset system, and this is required for a national system.
Disaster management, preparation, and response. Unfortunately, the annual economic costs of disasters around the world have increased fivefold since the 1980s, as events related to climate change have occurred with more frequency and severity. Canada has not been immune to this trend. Our planet is in crisis. Canadians are deeply anxious about climate change. Under the previous Conservative government, these concerns were ignored. Our country is warming at twice the global rate, according to expert Government of Canada scientists, and our north at 3 times the rate. Canadians voted for leadership that would confront this crisis with action. It is a moral imperative. We're working hard to make sure all Canadians are part of our cleaner future, from resource workers and their communities to the school strikers and other young people calling for bold climate action. Climate change is creating real and present dangers. Here in Ottawa and Gatineau, our riverbanks have been breached by floods once again. What we call the flood of a century now happens every few years. À travers le pays, vous entendrez de plus en plus.
The same thing is happening across the country. These extreme weather events are increasingly frequent, and this is a situation we have created, humankind.
19. If you don't have a plan for the environment, you don't have a plan for the economy. Our Made in Canada climate plan with all Canadians includes phasing out coal-fired electricity, regulating greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles, methane emissions from oil and gas, and HFCs, which on their own could account for half a degree of global warming. We're also investing in energy efficiency across the country. An important part of any serious climate plan ensures it's no longer free to pollute. Climate change is already costing us a fortune. Last year, extreme weather caused $1.9 billion in property damage. That number is estimated to go as high as $43 billion by 2050. Un système pollueur-payeur.
Putting a price on carbon is a practical and proven solution to reduce emissions. I want to be clear. All direct revenues from carbon pricing will be returned to the jurisdiction where they were collected in Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick. The money will get back to the provinces through the climate action incentive when Canadians file their 2018 taxes.
The price on pollution is going back into the province with 90% of the money going directly to families. 80% of families will be better off. So go file your taxes if you're in Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or New Brunswick. Last week, the Parliamentary Budget Office's independent analysis found that under the federal system, all but the wealthiest 20% of Canadians will get more back through the climate action incentive rebate than they pay. A price on pollution encourages Canadians to make cleaner choices, reduces pollution, and helps Canada meet its Paris Agreement requirements. It is a practical and affordable way to fight climate change. Des économistes renommés du monde.
Leading economists from around the world agree that putting a price on pollution is one of the most effective ways to encourage people and businesses to reduce their pollution.
Members of the opposition want to make climate action a partisan issue. We've been waiting a year, yes, today, 365 days, to see the Conservatives' climate plan. They keep stalling, but time is running out. Worse, they're misleading Canadians about how the federal price on pollution works. A number of our Conservative colleagues recently sent out taxpayer-funded householders newsletters that deliberately withheld details about how their constituents can claim their climate action incentive. That's hundreds of dollars that rightly belongs to their constituents, to Canadians. Conservatives are more focused on scoring partisan points than looking out for the people they're elected to represent and ensuring that they are better off. Et ce n'est pas seulement une partie qu'une.
And it is not one party alone that I have seen in action, because Canadians are being misled through partial or false information. Climate change is a serious and urgent issue, and it should not be used as a political plaything.
Yeah, but they know that we need to do more, not less. They do not inherit the earth from us when we are done polluting it. We are borrowing the earth from them. Mr. Chair, protecting the environment and supporting a sustainable economy also means keeping our waters clean and our oceans healthy. That's why our departmental plan outlines strategies to protect Canada's freshwater resources and reduce marine litter and plastic waste. Nous continuons de collaborer avec.
We continue to work with our international partners, the various levels of government, Indigenous people, and Canadians to reduce pollution and plastics.
G7 presidency to beat plastic pollution and keep it out of our oceans, lakes, and rivers. Membership has expanded to 18 governments and over 50 organizations. We're working with the provinces and territories on a Canada-wide strategy to keep plastics in the economy and out of landfills. Les travaux se poursuivent également pour mettre
We are also continuing to work on implementing the recommendations of the committee's report on the Canadian Environment Protection Agency. Many of the actions require using new science, and actions are being taken to strengthen the use of new science in decision-making.
Major investments in conservation. The world is home to 60% less wildlife than it was in 1970, and wilderness is disappearing rapidly. Canada is one of 5 countries that holds the world's significant remaining wilderness. We are in a unique position to lead. That's why our government launched the Nature Legacy Fund, the single largest investment to protect nature in Canada's history. We've also protected 11.8% of our land and freshwater and 8% of our oceans and coastal areas. We're well on our way to doubling the amount of nature being protected across Canada. On that note, I'd like to speak now about the main estimates for the Parks Canada Agency. Les aires protégées sont essentielles.
Protected areas play a critical role in restoring the health of ecosystems. They protect biodiversity, and intact wilderness absorbs twice as much carbon as other landscapes and helps with climate change.
Dollars in total funding for the Parks Canada Agency. This represents an increase of $178 million. In addition, Budget 2019 proposes $368 million for capital projects to protect natural treasures in our national parks, historic sites, and marine conservation areas. To quickly highlight a few of Park Canada's recent accomplishments. In October, Canada reached an agreement in principle with the Kikitani Inuit Association for the proposed Talirutup Amanga, Lancaster Sound, National Marine Conservation Area in Nunavut. It will become the largest protected area in Canada, covering 2% of our oceans. Aussi, au début de l'année 2000.
As well, in the beginning of 2019, the first plan for protecting urban areas was introduced. Measures were introduced to help with the Tainane Park.
Environmental Assessment Agency. The government tabled Bill C-69, which proposes to put in place better rules to protect our environment and rebuild public trust in decisions about major projects. It also aims to restore investor confidence and ensure that good projects can move forward in a timely way. The agency plays a key leadership role in the development and implementation of this legislation and associated regulations, and can be very proud of the many contributions it makes on behalf of Canadians. The Senate is diligently considering this bill as I speak. The agency's total 2019 to 2020 main estimates is $74.2 million. The requested funding supports continued delivery of environmental assessments under the current Act. It also anticipates new and expanded activities under the proposed Impact Assessment Act. These would touch on impact assessment, partnering with Indigenous peoples, work on cumulative effects, and collaborating with other jurisdictions to make assessments more efficient, supporting the objective of one project, one review. Monsieur le Président, voilà.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my formal remarks to the committee. I thank you again for the invitation, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Opening statement, and I'm sure that'll give us lots to discuss. I also recognize a number of departmental officials in the audience, and so welcome to many of the familiar faces who are also here to support the team. First up, I have Mr. Bosio and Mr. Amos, who will take the first 6 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much, Minister, for being here once again for the main estimates. It's greatly appreciated to have your presence. I'll get right into it. The Parliamentary Budget Office report has confirmed that low and middle income Ontarians get more money back in the climate rebate than they pay into the price on pollution. Yet Doug Ford is continuing to waste taxpayers' money in court trying to make pollution free. It's astounding to me that Doug Ford and the Conservatives think we can fight climate change without having a plan. As you had mentioned, we're a year now into the promise for a plan, and yet today we still don't have a plan. Can you tell us how our government is ensuring that we're protecting future generations by fighting climate change?
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank the Parliamentary Budget Officer for his ongoing work on behalf of Canadians and parliamentarians. His work confirms everything that our government has been saying about a price on pollution. Everyone but the wealthiest 20% of Canadians will get back more money through the Climate Action Incentive rebate than they pay. But that's just a part of our plan. We're also making historic investments in public transportation and renewable energy, phasing out coal, investing in clean technology solutions, supporting our inventors and entrepreneurs. And there are many other measures as part of our 50-measure plan that was developed with Canadians. But unfortunately, you have Premier Ford, Andrew Scheer, that are intentionally misleading Canadians. They are spending taxpayer money to fight the putting a price on pollution in court, $30 million. Also, there's a taxpayer-funded campaign in Ontario where if you're a small, independent small business owner, you face a fine of $10,000 a day if you don't do the bidding of the Ford government, misleading Ontarians about the costs of climate change, about the Climate Action Incentive rebate. Unfortunately, Conservatives in Parliament are sending out taxpayer-funded householders that are intentionally not showing to their constituents that amongst the tax measures, the newest one and the one that they can benefit probably the most is the Climate Action Incentive rebate. We need to take action on climate change. I don't need to tell Canadians that because they're feeling the impacts right now. We look at the floods, 1 in 100-year floods are now happening every few years.
Thank you, Minister. Doug Ford is also cutting funding in half for flood prevention to our local conservation authorities. Quinte Conservation, Lower Trent, Crow Valley, and Cataraqui. These organizations play a pivotal role in protecting our regions from flooding. Right in my riding and for Ontarians, he's cutting funding to forests for tree planting that prevents soil erosion. He's cutting over $280 million from OMAFRA. Cuts. Can you tell us what kind of negative impacts this is going to have to the health and safety of Ontarians, and in particular in rural Ontario, as we're seeing so much of this flooding happening today?
Thank you for your question. It's really important and it's really timely because, as we all know, we're seeing flooding across the country. But while we're seeing flooding, you have the Ford government that's cutting funding to support flood management by amazing conservation organizations with whom we work with every single day. We need to be doing more, not less, to protect our citizens. But the Ford government also made cuts to forest fire prevention and action. We saw last summer the impacts of the fires across the country. This is about keeping people safe. What are they spending money on? Stickers. $30 million fighting climate action in court. We need to be serious about climate action. We need to make decisions based on the science, both the science to tackle climate change, but also to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Nature-based solutions are critically important. And we also need to use evidence and take policy, just use measures that we know that work, which includes putting a price on pollution. Unfortunately, Andrew Scheer, Doug Ford don't seem to understand the science behind climate change or also the evidence of what policies like putting a price on pollution which work.
Madame la Ministre McKenna.
Madam Minister, our houses, our homes in the Pontiac area are being flooded. We are having many similar events. We've had 2 floods and a tornado in 3 years. This is happening throughout Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick. We are already seeing the effects of climate change, and we will continue to pay the price for this. The Conservatives, on the other hand, are continuing to put their head in the sand, and Canadians are suffering because of the effects of climate change. In the Pontiac region, we don't have the luxury to pretend that climate change is not happening. Canadians know they're going to have to pay now or pay later. And the price later will be much, much higher. Every time we have these floods, we have a disaster, and this isn't fair to people. Could you therefore explain to people in my riding and people across the country how this climate change policy will make a difference, how putting a price on carbon will help our children and grandchildren in the future? Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your work. We have talked about these issues, and I know how many people in Pontiac region, in Quebec and Ottawa and elsewhere are suffering, and I have helped with sandbagging. We thought that last time was just once every 100 years, the 100-year flood, but in fact now we're seeing it repeated. And of course, if people have to leave their homes, have to rebuild, it's a huge cost for them in so many ways. Doug Ford visited people in Constance Bay, and he said there must be something happening. And yes, of course there is. It's called climate change. We have to protect people, and this is why we are investing in adaptation. We have set aside $2 billion to help people adapt to climate change. We have a new service center to help people do this. We have a new plan to deal with climate change, and we are with the people of Pontiac and across the country to help them.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to begin by noting the absence of our colleague, Mark Warwa, at this table. As you know, he is undergoing some very serious health challenges, and he would certainly covet your thoughts and prayers as we consider him, a very valued colleague of some 15 years here in the House of Commons. Just wanted to start off with that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that update with us, and I'm resetting your clock to 6 minutes, so you can start now.
All right. I did, however, want to call you, Minister, out on the hypocrisy of your remarks. You began by sanctimoniously suggesting that climate change is a nonpartisan issue, and then you embarked upon a bit of a tirade against Conservatives and Andrew Scheer, as did your two colleagues here, Mr. Amos, Mr. Bossio. How is that nonpartisan? How is climate change a nonpartisan issue when you immediately spend the next 15 minutes attacking your opponents, those who disagree with you on the merits of a carbon tax? We happen to believe that a carbon tax will not get us to where we need to go. We don't believe that you can tax your way to a clean environment. However, you're entitled to disagree. And if you consider us to be partisan, but you not, I mean, that's a bit of a joke. So I wanted to call you out on that. If you really believe that climate change is a nonpartisan issue, then you should act that way. Now, let me get straight into the question on the carbon tax. It was your government that signed on to the Paris Agreement and promised to meet Canada's agreed upon targets. Are you on track to meet Canada's 2030 emissions targets?
Thank you very much, and I want to also share my thoughts about Mark. It is, very sad what's happening, and we all stand together. Look, it pains me greatly that the Conservatives nowadays think that we can do more, not less, than climate change. They don't seem to understand the science on climate change and don't seem to understand the facts about what works.
Minister,
I'm going to stand up for climate action. I'm going to fight climate
Minister?
action, fight climate inaction, and fight for good policies. I'm not going to apologize for that.
Mine was a yes or no question, which is Canada on track now to meet its 2030 emissions targets under the Paris Agreement? Yes or no?
Canada is on track to meet our Paris Agreement targets. We have committed to that. We are 3/4 of the way there, and there are measures that we are implementing right now that are not have not been modeled yet. Those are investments in public transportation, in clean innovation, in doubling our nature, which we know is a carbon sink. But the question really would be: is Andrew Scheer going to show us a plan that meets the Paris Agreement target? He committed to that. You all voted for that.
You know what, Minister? I want to remind you, Andrew Scheer is not the Prime Minister of this country. You are the Minister for the Environment. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, leads the government. We, as the opposition, are here to hold you to account. And that's why we're asking you the questions. It's not for you to ask us the questions right now. And I'm asking you again, can you actually provide us with any supporting evidence that you're on track to meet the targets as you've just suggested?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to table the Clean Canada document, protecting the environment and growing the economy. We have also our pan-Canadian framework on climate change. Andrew Scheer seemed to think that we don't have a plan. In fact, we have a plan that was negotiated with provinces and territories, with Indigenous leaders, with input from cities, towns, businesses, all Canadians. We have a Made in Canada
With
plan
respect, Minister.
for Canadians. If I would direct you to the page, page
Minister.
13 of Clean Canada plan, that has how we plan to meet our target. But you know what? We need to do more. We all believe we need to do
Minister,
more.
I'm familiar with that pie chart that you've got there. Much of that is unmodeled proposals going forward. And I will also suggest to you that the climate change plan that you have brought forward is not a climate change plan at all. It is a tax plan. It includes a carbon tax. It includes GST on a carbon tax. Imagine that, a Liberal government charging tax on a tax. And on top of that, there's a clean fuel standard coming down the pike, which is expected to add hundreds of dollars more to the effective price of carbon in Canada. And I want to remind you of something, Minister. The Auditor General, the Commissioner of the Environment, the United Nations, and even your own departmental documents say that you're not going to meet your Paris targets. In fact, even David Suzuki, Saint David Suzuki, says you won't meet your targets. So how can you bald-faced sit here today in the face of all of the contrary evidence and suggest that you're on track to meet Canada's emissions targets under the Paris Agreement?
I am happy to
I'm just
repeat it
gobsmacked.
again. I am happy to read it again. We are committed to meeting our target. We transparently report every single year. We have a plan to meet our target, and this is a plan that was negotiated with provinces and territories. Is it harder? Yes, when you have provinces like Ontario that stop a price on pollution, that go back. That's like reopening 30 coal-fired units. So let's be clear, when you have provinces backtracking, we're going to continue to go forward, and we owe it to Canadians to go forward, and we're going to continue to be more ambitious. It's ironic, though, I'm hearing this on the 365th day when we were promised a climate plan from the Conservative Party. You all voted to support a plan to meet the Paris Agreement targets. We've seen no plan. We've seen backtracking. We've seen cuts by other
With
governments.
respect,
We've spent
Minister,
taxpayer
with
money
respect,
in
with
court
respect,
fighting climate action instead of
With
fighting
respect,
climate change.
the Conservative Party doesn't lead government. The NDP doesn't lead government. The Green Party doesn't lead government. It is the Liberals that lead government. We're elected to lead. We're elected to come up with a plan. It's a plan that's a tax plan, not an environment plan. We're holding to you account for that. And I'm looking at that same pie chart you've got before you. I see things like implemented but unmodeled measures. Your plan is full of unmodeled measures. These are measures that Canadians have no idea whether the carbon taxation that you're going to implement or the clean fuel standard that you're going to implement are actually going to reduce emissions in Canada. You haven't done the modeling. You haven't
That
done
is
the
simply
analysis
not
to do
true.
that.
I am happy to give you
It says
the document.
unmodeled.
I'm
Unmodeled.
happy to give you the document that outlines how a price on pollution reduces emissions. Once again, it is with great regret. We had a former Prime Minister that was a Conservative, Brian Mulroney, who used a price on pollution because he believed in the environment. He believed that we needed to protect nature, that was for all Canadians.
We'll come back around, so
All right.
I'm sure we'll hear more. We'll now go to Ms. Matheson for her 6 minutes with the of questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I was looking forward to being here, but quite frankly, I am profoundly disappointed by this this political wrangling. We have a flood crisis in this city. The water is at the door, and you're wrangling about who does the best job or who has the best numbers. I want some clear answers. I spent 5 years in the Ministry of the Environment in Ontario under a government, under a minister who had incredible integrity. She walked the walk. I want people here to walk the walk. And I do have some questions. Earlier this month, we learned that Loblaws is being awarded $12 million from the Low Carbon Economy Fund for refrigerator retrofits. Ideally, the grants should enable GHG reduction projects that would otherwise not be able to go forward without government assistance. Now, Loblaws is the bread pricing or bread price fixing king of the country, and Galen Weston is probably the second richest person here. Why on earth would Loblaws qualify for retrofits? And I understand this business about they added in onto what the government added in onto what they were going to do. Why didn't Loblaws simply do it all? And that $12 million go somewhere else where there could have been a greater benefit.
Thank you. And I wouldn't say there's wrangling. We're trying to explain our climate plan, which is a serious plan that we negotiated with provinces
Minister,
and territories.
I heard nothing
and Canadians.
but wrangling and nothing but
I'm happy to
promotion
share the
of
Clean Canada
self.
plan. Look, let's be clear that we need to take action on climate change and we all need to be acting together. That's why we are working with provinces, territories, hospitals, schools, municipalities, and businesses. Under the Low Carbon Economy Fund, which is administered in a transparent way by the department, that it is a competitive process. It looks for bang for the buck. So you said that you don't think that we're getting emission reductions. This particular project is like taking 50,000 cars off the road every year. The government puts up 25% of the money, and it involves the HFCs, which are the most polluting greenhouse gas emissions. Canada was very proud to help negotiate the Montreal Protocol to remove these greenhouse gas emissions from the atmosphere. It's like half a degree of warming if we can take serious action on those. But let's be clear. We all need to be working together. And if you don't have a plan for the environment, you don't have a plan for the economy, we need to be working to create good jobs. We need to be working with provinces, territories, hospitals, schools, businesses, big and small. I
think if Galen Weston can fix the price of bread, he can fix his refrigerators. I have another question. A recent Parks Canada Commission report found that 40% of the agency's real estate are in poor condition, with repairs being estimated at $9.5 million, plus an additional $3.3 billion estimated as being needed for climate change adaptation. And we're hearing more and more about the need to adapt to what is coming, this tsunami of disasters. Budget 2019 doesn't allocate any new funds to either of these issues, and I wonder if you could advise if Parks Canada has sufficient funding to make the necessary repairs and adapt to the climate change that we know is on the way.
Thank you very much. And I certainly agree that nature-based solutions are critically important to adapt, but also to tackle climate change. We continue to invest in Parks Canada and also in protecting nature. We had a $1.3 billion investment protecting in nature, expanding parks in protected areas. We continue to work to manage our assets. We actually are the third, if I'm not wrong, largest asset holder in the country. And I will now turn over to Michael Nadler, the acting head of Parks Canada.
Thank you kindly for your question. In fact, Budget 2019 allocates $368 million over 2 years for capital asset renewal at Parks Canada. Now, that funding will be spent in 2020 and 21 and 2021-22, and would be allocated to the kinds of issues that you raise, maintenance of our assets in the face of a number of challenges, including challenges that arise from climate change and other environmental factors.
368 million ain't 9.5 billion.
No,
there's going to be a shortfall here.
And you're right. And in fact, we are working with the Department of Finance on a longer-term plan for asset management and asset maintenance and recapitalization at Parks Canada well into the future. So we're hopeful that in the coming months we'll develop collaboratively a solid plan for the long term.
Thank you. Oh, yes, Minister, I have been listening to the news, and the Philippines is threatening to send back garbage, tankers full of garbage. And I wonder if you've taken any steps to ensure that the manifestos of ships actually reflect the cargo, because the complaint is that instead of recyclables, they're getting waste, hideous waste that they simply cannot use. And has that particular situation crossed your desk?
It certainly has. This is an important issue. It's also an important diplomatic issue. So let's just be clear on the facts. This was something that happened under the previous government in 2013 with a company that is no longer in existence. We have changed the rules around waste management in 2016, which I think is incredibly important. We've also appointed a committee to negotiate to find a solution with the Philippines. We are clearly committed to handling a problem that was not of our own creation, but that is something that is important that we solve.
We'll now go over to Mr. Fisher and Mr. McKinnon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Minister, again for being here. Minister, as you know, this committee produced a unanimous report on protected areas. And in that report, we recommended that the federal government partner with municipalities, Indigenous governments, and stakeholders to protect more land across Canada and to meet and exceed our IEC targets. And we also asked the government to deliver more funding for nature conservation across Canada. Now, last year's budget delivered on these recommendations. You spoke about it earlier. $1.3 billion in funding. Now, I know that you're tired of hearing me advocate for Blue Mountain Birch Cove Lakes, but this area is near and dear to the hearts of Nova Scotians, and it's worth protecting. So, Minister, as you know, last week also, I had the honor of announcing $860,000 contribution to the Halifax Regional Municipality so they could acquire and protect 135 hectares of land in this amazing park. Now, this was huge news back home. Can you tell us a little bit more about the successes of the Canada Nature Fund and what it will mean for our future generations?
Thank you very much, Mr. Fisher, and I would like to thank you for your tireless efforts on this file. I am always happy to, and our government is happy to consider solutions, how we can protect more nature, and it's because of your advocacy, because you spoke very often about the importance of protecting the Blue Mountain Birch Cove Lakes Wilderness area, that we're doing so, offering Haligonians a greater opportunity to connect with nature for generations to come. Protecting nature is not just in far-flung places, it's where people can actually get to it. As you mentioned, we have a $1.3 billion investment, historic investment in protecting more nature. It's been very exciting to see the interest across the country from Indigenous peoples, from conservation groups, from towns, from cities, from Canadians. Because Canadians believe that we have a chance to protect what we love, but also, as we know, nature is very important as we tackle climate change, a natural sink, also as we adapt to the impact of science, of climate change. My deputy has pointed out we have many different things, successes, but one of the most powerful ones was protecting Adéger, over 14,000 square kilometers in the Northwest Territory from work by the Decho. It was very moving to be there while the snow was falling, while they talked movingly about how long they had worked to protect this area. Scott Islands off the coast of BC, Greenbelt area in Montreal, the Île Haute, which I know is very important to our colleague Bill Casey. Many examples of how we can work together. We also announced a $100 million investment to support conservation groups like the Nature Conservancy, working with partners like Ducks Unlimited, that I think there's a huge opportunity to work with all Canadians to protect more of the nature that we love.
Excellent.
Thank you, Minister, for joining us here today. And thank you for the work you're doing on helping us transition into a green 21st century economy. I want to talk to you about plastic pollution. I note in your remarks you mentioned the Oceans Plastic Charter as a result of our G7 presidency. And you also mentioned the zero plastic waste strategy with the provinces and territories. So I wonder if you could speak more broadly in terms of what this government is doing to combat the growing issue of plastic pollution.
I know this is, thank you very much, Mr. McKinnon. I know this is an issue that is deeply in the hearts for all Canadians. We want to see less plastic pollution and tackle seriously for the first time plastic pollution, which is choking our waters, our lakes, our rivers, our oceans. If we don't act, the stat is that we will have more plastic pollution by weight in our oceans than fish. That's why we're working on innovative solutions. That's why we're pushing internationally through our Oceans Plastics Charter, but we need to do work at home. I was really pleased last year on Canada Day that we banned microbeads. We've also put federal government suppliers on notice that we'll be working with suppliers who are committed to a zero plastic waste vision. We can use our procurement power, reducing plastic waste from government operations. I know I'm working with MP Fillmore on this, eliminating unnecessary single-use plastics from the federal government, including from our cafeteria, because they're doing great things. We still have some work to do. We need to be supporting developing countries because plastics knows no borders either, and waste management facilities is extremely important. That's why we're investing $100 million to support developing countries to develop and implement sound waste management systems. We also have a huge economic opportunity. That plastic waste has value. We're literally throwing out hundreds of millions of dollars in value every year. We can do much better with this approach, a circular approach to the economy. We're working with producers. Producers need to be responsible for the plastics that we produce. We need to be working with cities, towns, provinces, and that's why we're developing the first ever national zero plastic waste strategy.
Thank you, Minister. That's my question.
Okay, there's still a minute left if anybody on this side wants. Okay, Mike.
I know that the Conservatives like to talk about a tax on a tax all the time. They like to drill away at this. And I'd like to remind everyone that ever since Brian Mulroney's government, Conservative government, brought in the GST, there has been GST on the whole price of gasoline, including the excise tax. And so this is not something that is new. Minister, so could you maybe address that once again, it's not the importance of whether it's a tax, it's importance that we're actually doing something to address climate change.
Thank you very much. You know what I think about? I think the biggest tax and the biggest deficit we can leave for our kids is climate inaction. We are passing that on to our children and grandchildren, billions and billions of dollars in costs. That's why we're acting. That's why we're making it no longer free to pollute. And we're doing it all the while we're growing our economy and creating good jobs.
And there are a couple of new members here. I should mention the cards we're using if it's not on other committees. The yellow card is 1 minute left, and the red card is time's up. Wrap up whatever thoughts you have. And I've tried to be consistent in the application of that as we move through the round so far. So now, Ms. Stubbs, it's over to you for your 6 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, in the spirit of ensuring that policy achieves outcomes, can you explain exactly what the cost per ton will be imposed by the new Liberal fuel standard?
Thank you very much. I mean, what we do is an analysis of every policy that we do. We look at interactive impacts, and we make sure that what we're doing, we're getting emission reductions, bang for our buck. Putting a price on pollution, as you probably know, is the lowest cost measure that you can bring in when it comes to tackling climate change.
What specifically will be the cost
and I will pass it on to my deputy to talk about the Clean Fuel Standard. We have taken the time to understand the Clean Fuel Standard and to receive comments from industry, because we need to all be working together, but I'll ask my deputy to answer.
That's okay. My question was to you, Minister, and you made the announcement before Christmas, so I would expect that by now you would know. But of course, the reality is you don't know the impact, because the cost-benefit analysis on your own departmental website says this, quote, "There are no models within the department designed to model 1, emissions reduction, 2, credit supply, or 3, economic impacts of your new Liberal fuel standard policy in detail." And the department, I understand, is currently developing a fuel life cycle assessment modeling tool and may use new and updated models for publication in the Canada Gazette Part 2 should they become available in time. Now, I think your own internal documents, they are estimating around a $230 a ton carbon tax. That would be the equivalent of it on industry. The Chemistry Industry Association says your fuel standard will be the equivalent of a $200 a ton carbon tax on industry. And Ontario manufacturers, you must know, are warning that it could kill their ability to sell exports to the United States. What's really curious about this is you gave large emitters an 80% exemption from your carbon tax, your $30 a ton carbon tax, specifically because you said, as Conservatives have been warning for years, that your new carbon tax would kill jobs and drive businesses out of Canada, but you're imposing a cost 4 times greater with your new Liberal fuel standard. So if I'm a truck driver driving a truck 50 hours a week, how many cents per liter will the new Liberal fuel standard add to the cost of diesel?
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you've put out there in that are simply inaccurate. Of course, we're going to do proper modeling. Of course, we're going to understand the costs. That's why we are still consulting on our clean fuel standard. We've always transparent on what we do. We've been transparent on the cost of putting a price on pollution. It's 4 cents.
But
4
you
cents. But
announced-
unfortunately,
you
conservative
announced the new-
politicians are always misleading.
But you
we are
announced
going
the
to
new fuel
continue
standard
working.
in December. You are imposing it. Your own
Point of
department
order,
says
Chair.
you don't have
Can the
modeling.
minister be allowed to please answer the question?
My question was, how many cents per liter will the clean fuel standard add to the cost of diesel?
So let's be
Great.
clear, the Clean Fuel Standard is not in place. We have put out a regulatory framework paper on which we are consulting and receiving feedback. We want to make sure everything we do is done in a thoughtful way that protects the environment and grows a clean economy. We believe that, yes, we can use cleaner fuels, that is a smart thing to do, but we have to do it in a responsible way. We're going to continue to do that in a transparent, we always report transparently. We make decisions based on science, evidence, and facts, and we consult broadly, including with industry. But I'm happy to ask my deputy to explain the process so we are extremely clear on the record what we have done.
It's okay. I'm sure you can table it to the committee later. My job is to ask
we
you
will
questions,
table
Minister.
it to committee because I
Great.
think it's important that Canadians
So
have
here's
the
what
proper
the concern
information.
is. This is why your position is concerning, because in October in question period, you admitted what Conservatives have been warning about the carbon tax the entire time, that the 80 to 95% exemption from the carbon tax that you've granted for large emitters to quote, and you said this, to quote, stay competitive and keep good jobs in Canada. So if these businesses, according to your analysis, and we agree that that's the risk of your carbon tax, that you will do economic harm to Canada without reducing emissions and drive businesses and jobs out of Canada. If your argument is that those businesses will shut down if they pay more than 5% of your carbon tax, then how do you justify the dramatic, multiple times more costs of your Liberal new fuel standard on those same companies?
Once again, I would like to repeat, we have not brought in our clean fuel standard. Once again, I mean, I would hope that you would agree that what we do should grow the economy, should move to a cleaner future, should tackle climate change and create good jobs, that we should ensure that our companies are more competitive, that we are creating good jobs in Canada, that we are creating incentives for clean innovation. That is what our climate plan is all about. Once again, it would be great, 365 days to the day that we are in committee, while there's flooding, that we would see an actual climate plan from Conservatives. Canadians deserve no less. We have been very clear about our climate plan. We negotiated it with Canadians. It is right here. Every single measure is out. Everything we do is modeled with the department. We put things out in a transparent way, including emission trends. We work with industry to find solutions. Everyone pays a price on pollution because we believe that's the right thing, and we will continue implementing our plan with Canadians.
You've granted major exemptions to the carbon tax, which you said yourself was for keeping jobs and businesses in Canada, but you are getting those companies and that industry on the back end with your escalating plans for Liberal fuel standard, which is unprecedented in the entire world because it's going to apply to solid and gaseous fuels and to industry, businesses, and facilities. I think it's very alarming that you're imposing a policy and doing the modeling on the back end after you've already announced it. Can I just ask you a question about the thousands of jobs that are at risk in my riding and across Alberta if you impose your federal methane regulations on the timeline that you've outlined? I just wonder if you'll grant equivalency to Alberta's methane regulations that were finalized by the previous NDP government.
Tackling methane emissions from the oil and gas industry is one of the most cost-effective measures that we can do. You can actually, capture what you don't want, create products. We have amazing Canadian companies who are doing that, and we've been working with provinces. We've been working with industry to do this. But we have a standard. We have a standard, and the expectation is that provinces meet the standard.
Equivalency to the previous.
Should the provinces meet the standard, we are happy to grant equivalency.
We are out of time on this round. There were a couple of issues that were touched on by Ms. Stubbs that if you would like to submit to the follow-up documentation, and do we post that? I think we can share it on the website or share it with committee members so that everybody will have the information. We are next moving to Mr. Amos and Ms. Zerowitz. Okay.
Thank you.
Julie, Ms. Zerowitz first.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And I just want to say thanks so much, Minister. Thank you so much, Parliamentary Secretary, and to all of you for being here today. I really appreciate it. This is an issue that is super important for the residents of my riding of Davenport. I would say it's one of their top issues. I just want to make sort of two comments because, Minister, I think you've done a really wonderful job of saying this, and this is something that's near and dear because of the publicity that's in the media today. There seems to be some sort of an idea that the only thing the federal government's doing to tackle climate change is putting a price on pollution. That's not true. And I just want to say thank you so much for saying that we have a rich number of climate action measures, urgent climate action measures that we have under the Pan-Canadian framework that we are putting into place to combat climate action. So you've mentioned the clean fuel standard, the elimination of the coal fire plants, the historic investment in transit, the zero emission. You haven't mentioned the zero emissions on car infrastructure, but the list goes on. So to me, that was important to reiterate because I do think that through your answers, you've been mentioning that. And for me, I don't think that we should wait for a perfect plan to take action on climate change. We should put in as many measures as possible. There was also an earlier question about are we meeting our Paris Accord targets? But I know this comes up in my writing of Davenport. It's been less than 3 years. We're not going to see massive emissions reductions in less than 3 years. But that doesn't mean we stop. And I think, if anything, I know people in my writing say, keep on moving forward. We know you have all the right elements. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving as fast as possible. So I just want to say thank you so much for all of these efforts. I do believe that, at least in my writing, they feel that they're the right efforts. If anything, they ask me to go faster, as fast as possible. My first question actually formally is for the Parliamentary Secretary, just because I want to get his voice in here. Davenport residents, especially youth in my riding, are very concerned about the number of species that are disappearing on a daily basis. I know that in Canada, I think we have listed on our website, there's 521 plant and animal species at risk that are listed under the Species at Risk Registry. And so I just wonder if our Parliamentary Secretary, Fraser, can update us on how the Environment and Climate Change Canada is moving forward with the protection of species at risk.
Thank you very much. The young people in your riding should be very concerned. As the Minister pointed out during her opening remarks, since the 1970s, about 60% of our wildlife is gone. Canada is one of 5 countries that represents about 3/4 of the world's remaining wilderness, which positions us uniquely to take serious action and set an example for the world. Of course, in Budget 2018, we set aside $1.3 billion for nature and conservation efforts. And to put that in perspective, that's the largest single investments of its kind in the history of our country. We're moving forward with protected spaces. We're moving forward through the Nature Fund to partner with different organizations that are going to establish protected areas that are key habitat. The specifics on all the different species at risk that you mentioned may be listed would vary, whether it's the steelhead trout or the southern resident killer whale or the different caribou species. So I'd be happy to deal with them in more specificity if you wish.
Okay, great, thank you. I do have one more follow-up question. I know there's been other questions in my writing about, often they talk about corridors between 2 countries in terms of the US and Canada, in terms of making sure that species stay alive. And I know that they're also particularly concerned about certain types of species that are at risk, which are some of our historic animals in our country, like the southern mountain caribou in British Columbia. And I wonder if you could talk to us about what approaches our government taking to ensure the survival of species as a risk, such as the southern Manitoba caribou in BC.
Sure. So on the cross-border issue, it's a big deal whether you look at sage grouse or whether you look at the porcupine herd that crosses the Yukon-Alaska boundary. But with respect to southern mountain caribou, this is something that should alarm all Canadians. Of course, they're different species, but we should all know that recognize the caribou is on our currency. It's a charismatic species that's something that, in my mind, we can't lose. If you look at across the species, there's about 4,000 or so. I think I'm close. Animals still alive today. That's a reduction of more than 1/3 in the past 5 years. Things are in dire circumstances. I was actually in northeastern British Columbia last week for meetings with communities and different groups who are trying to restore efforts. The situation is a little different depending on where in the province you sit, but we've got serious efforts going on to partner with the province of British Columbia to establish a conservation framework province-wide under Section 11 of the Species at Risk Act. But in the central region, I really want to draw attention to the leadership role that the Saulteaux and West Moberly First Nations have been playing. They've actually, they're starting to reverse the trend of decline and are actually seeing recovery efforts through a combination of maternal penning and predator control measures that they're putting in place. But it's not going to last if we don't restore the habitat as well. We're partnering right now with the province of British Columbia and those First Nations communities to ensure that we create the conditions that will allow the population not just to come back, but to sustain itself over time. I know that there's some anxiety in communities that use the backcountry for recreational purposes or for economic purposes. Rest assured, we're working with communities and with the province to establish the best path forward that will mitigate any social and economic consequences, but really with the primary goal being preventing the extirpation of these herds. And just one final note, there are herds that have existed for thousands of years in southern British Columbia that are gone today. This is something that should shock the conscience of every Canadian.
Thank you so much.
We're out of time. So with that, we will move over. Monsieur Gaudin.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Minister, for being present here this afternoon with us. Minister, I, like my colleague for the NDP, find it very fortunate that the government is playing petty politics with this issue, which is so important, by saying that the Conservative Party is not aware of climate change. Well, we are aware that climate change is real. I would like to know about your plan, this great environment plan. And my question is very simple. Are you going to achieve the targets under the Paris Accord? Yes or no? Yes. Thank you, Minister. What I understand is that once again today in question period, you said that the Conservative Party, the opposition, had not tabled an environment plan. But I have to inform you that right now we have a Liberal government. You are the Minister for the Environment and Climate Change, so you have the power to change things. Why are you waiting for our plan? You've been waiting for it for 365 days, but in fact, you have been in office for 2,000 days. So why are you not taking the action? I am not the only one awaiting this plan. Who else is? Canadians. We need a plan. But Minister, you are in office. If you really believe in science, you say that climate change is real. We've known that for decades.
To develop a plan, because you're developing that plan with oil lobbyists. You had a secret meeting. Andrew Scheer had a secret meeting with oil lobbyists, with the Conservative the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, where your plan is not a plan for workers. It's not a plan for Canadians.
Madame la ministre, vous savez que ce très compté, c'est comme pour ce qui est des changements.
Know that time is short to deal with climate change. So I have to ask the questions here. You don't have a lot of time. You were not careful and rigorous in your plan. We have been taking very careful steps to make our plans. But Minister, you are the ones that are in office right now. We have done excellent work. You actually adopted the targets that the Conservative government came up with. So they did good work if you adopted those targets. So what is the problem? Why aren't you going to achieve the Paris Accord GHG targets? You are going to put a $300 a ton carbon tax on the economy. You are being very hypocritical. This is just a shell game that you're playing. Why don't you tell Canadians directly what you're going to do to improve their lives and tackle climate change very concretely? You have a chance to act. What have you been doing for the last 1,230 days? I am not going to take any lessons from the Conservative Party. But why did you adopt the GHG targets then that we had? I will be pleased to look at a Conservative plan. You voted for what we need, this is a plan not just for us, it is a Canadian plan. We worked with the provinces and territories, with Indigenous people, with businesses, with environmentalists. This is a plan for Canadians that has been developed with them to meet our targets, and we are going to continue on this route. What do you do every day? Every day in question period, I have to deal with this issue. You want pollution to be free. It was Brian Mulroney, a conservative, who took climate change seriously. It was the biggest issue when I was young. Acid rain was something that he tackled, and he showed leadership in doing so. You are not showing leadership on climate change, and so I'm not going to take any lessons from you. But in fact, you have to remember that it was under our government that the greenhouse gas emissions went down the most. Are you aware of that? It was under the previous Conservative government. Are you aware of that?
If you want to take credit for that, you can.
Alors, c'est votre vision, Madame la
So that's your answer? I find it very unfortunate. You are not being serious about this at all. Thank you.
Somebody can fit something in. We've been consistent about sharing time.
Minister, I just want to remind you that 2016, under your plan, Canada fell 44 megatons short of meeting its Paris targets. In 2017, we fell 66 megatons short of meeting our Paris targets. In 2018, we fell behind 79 megatons. Now, how can you say that your plan is working? Yours is simply a tax plan. It has nothing to do with the environment. This is about taxing Canadians. GST, carbon taxes, clean fuel standards, and at the end of the day, Canadians are simply going to find it more and more difficult to find affordability, to find housing, to be able to raise their families. How can you justify that? Your plan is failing. The evidence shows your plan is failing. How can you sit there and then in a bald-faced way suggest that you're meeting the targets?
The targets are 2030 targets. We have a plan. We report our emission reductions transparently, and that plan will get us to the targets. But what makes me really sad, what makes me really, really sad, and I say this with great honesty, that we can't come together. This was a plan that was negotiated with provinces and territories. But Conservative premiers, what are they doing? They're going back on the commitments that were made. That, as I said, province of Ontario, when they cut their cap and trade system, when they made it free to pollute, that increased by 30 coal-fired units the amount of pollution. Doing less, not more, in the face of what we are seeing right now is unconscionable. And we have a responsibility for Canadians to tackle climate change and grow our economy, and we can do it in an affordable way while it creates good jobs. That is exactly what we're doing, and we're going to continue to do.
Okay, thank you. We will now move over to Mr. Fisher and Mr. Bosio for their last. Oh, okay, Mr. Amos and Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And can you let me know at the 3-minute mark?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll try.
Minister, this committee heard overwhelming evidence that putting a price on pollution is the most effective way to reduce emissions while protecting Canadians' pocketbooks. Now, back on January 1st, province of Nova Scotia enacted a plan to tackle climate change by putting a price on pollution through a cap and trade program. Because of their efforts, Nova Scotians did not see noticeable increases in costs. Instead, Nova Scotians are benefiting from increased efficiency programs. Now, last week, and you referenced this earlier, news broke that Andrew Scheer had been secretly meeting with oil lobbyists. Yet the Conservatives still have not put forward a plan to combat climate change. They've not even really joined the conversation. And we see Canadians heavily impacted today. We see wildfires in BC. Across the country, we see massive flooding in New Brunswick, Ontario, and Quebec, and serious sea level rise in Nova Scotia. Canadians are demanding action on climate change. Minister, can you please detail how our government's approach to combating climate change is different from, say, maybe the Conservatives?
Well, thank you very much for your question. And we're already paying the cost of climate change right now. We've gone from $400 million in costs a decade ago to $2 billion. The costs are estimated to rise to $43 billion or more. We're paying the cost, and we have a huge economic opportunity of clean growth. You can tackle climate change and grow the economy and create good jobs and do it in an affordable way. Let's be clear, with a price on pollution, we're giving the money back. All the money is going back to Canadians, and that means that 80% of them are better off. And that is a parliamentary budget officer that's saying that the 20% they're going to pay more are the wealthiest. We need to take action on climate change. But the way you develop a climate plan is actually working with Canadians. It's doing the hard work over a full year, negotiating with provinces and territories, Indigenous peoples, cities, hearing from Canadians of all sorts, environmentalists, young people. You don't make a climate plan in secret meetings with oil lobbyists. You simply don't. And that is not what the future looks like. I am the environment minister for energy workers, as well as young people, as people who live in the north, people who live in the south. And we have a responsibility. And we can show the world how you can tackle climate change while you're a natural resource-based economy, how you can do it in an affordable way by creating jobs. I'm proud that we have the Carbon Pricing Leadership Coalition, where you have the major companies in Canada stepping up and saying, yeah, we've got to put a price on pollution. I'm proud that we have young people marching on the street demanding more of us, not less. We all need to take climate change extremely seriously. It is not just an environmental issue. It is an economic issue. It is a health issue. It is an existential issue for Indigenous peoples and people who live in small island developing states where they're literally going underwater. And as the Pope has said, it is a moral issue. We need to continue acting on climate change. We have a plan that we are working hard on. We will meet our targets. And then, you know what? We're going to do more because we need to do more. The whole world needs to do more. But hard things are hard. It's hard for countries around the world. I was really pleased to be hosting a nature summit last week in Montreal, where governments were talking about how we can do more on climate change through nature-based solutions. That's amazing. That's why here in Canada, we have Stephen Guilbeault, un grand environnementaliste du Québec,
We have a great environmentalist in Quebec who is helping us to go further to reduce our emissions more in transportation.
Providing us solutions. I was in Vancouver seeing an affordable housing build that is net zero. How awesome is that? We can do amazing things. We have the ingenuity. We are Canadians. We can tackle climate change. We live in the coldest and sometimes one of the hottest countries, and we can build better. We can get around better, and we can do it all while creating good jobs and making life affordable and bringing folks together. And that is what we are committed to doing. That is what I will continue spending every single waking moment doing. I am a competitive swimmer. We have a goal. We've set the goal. Every single day we're going to continue working on this goal, and I'm going to do everything I can, my damnedest, to bring people together so we can do this.
Minister, in early 2018, you'll recall that along with several colleagues here on the Environment Committee, I wrote a letter to the Finance Minister, Bill Morneau. 115 MPs and senators signed. The one Conservative was, in fact, a senator. But they signed nonetheless. We had all sorts of support, and we urged for much higher levels of financing for protected areas. And you've spoken about this a bit today. And when $1.3 billion was allocated, a whole bunch of us were just so proud of our government because it took courage. That put our money where our conservation mouth was. And as a member of Parliament for Pontiac, I was just so proud.
And I know the extent to which the people in my riding want to have more protection, want to have more done. And because of this $175 million nature fund, we will be able to do this. There are submissions from my area, very interesting ones. And the way decisions are being made.
Fund, and particularly, what would you have to say to those people in the National Capital Region and in the Outaouais?
Well, thank you very much. As you know, I'm a member from the National Capital Region, very proud to represent Ottawa Centre. I think we have an opportunity to be the greenest capital, and I think that includes our natural capital. That actually has value. that having a brand where you are the greenest capital will attract more tourism, will create more jobs, but it's also just an awesome thing for people to be able to go enjoy nature. And we need nature-based solutions to the impacts of climate change, and it helps us mitigate emissions. We have a process where we're accepting applications right now. You've heard from your colleague; he was very excited for the success of the Quick Start money that'll help support conservation for Haligonians. We have announced a number of different initiatives, including protecting the Greenbelt in Montreal. Also, big pieces that'll be big pieces in our north with Indigenous people. So stay tuned. We're certainly looking at all of the applications, making sure that they are consistent with the guidelines. But we think there's an opportunity to do a lot more.
Thank you. And Ms. Matheson, you get the final round of questions, and for yours, it's a 3-minute range.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I've been listening with great interest in regard to the various reports that are received, and I have a question about the Commissioner of Environment and Sustainable Development. Recently tabled 2 audits which found that the government does not have a complete inventory of fossil fuel subsidies and is not considering environmental factors on an equal basis as economic considerations, and that's troubling. I wonder, when will the department be transparent about fossil fuel subsidies and phase them out?
So we've been clear that we need to eliminate inefficient fossil fuel subsidies, and we've said we will do it by 2025. Through the tax system, we've already eliminated 9 out of 10 fossil fuel subsidies. We know we need to be doing more. We also have looked in it. We've put out a consultation paper to hear from Canadians about what would constitute a non-tax inefficient fossil fuel subsidy. I think we need to have serious reflection on that, because that might include diesel. We provide support for Indigenous communities that are on diesel in the north. We haven't, many communities have not transitioned to renewables. I think we need to have a serious discussion across the board, and we do everything in a transparent way. We have an opportunity to move to a cleaner future, and we're going to continue to look at all the opportunities to do that, to make the investments. We understand the environment and the economy go together, and we have a huge opportunity that Canada can showcase the world our innovation, our clean solutions. I see those solutions across the board, from Enwave in downtown Toronto, that is actually taking water from the deep, dark part of the Great Lakes, of Lake Ontario, where it's extremely cold, to cool our buildings in downtown Toronto, saving like 80% of the GHGs, much more energy efficient. I've seen Carbon Cure in Mr. Fisher's riding. This is an amazing company that takes emissions from industry, injects it into cement to make cheaper, stronger cement. We need to create the incentives. One of the greatest incentives that we can do to innovate, to foster clean solutions, is to put a price on pollution. Because guess what? That makes it more efficient for people to choose clean solutions. So if you believe that we need to grow the economy, that we need to transition to a cleaner future, that we want to have the technology and the solutions right here in Canada for our inventors and our entrepreneurs, everyone here should support putting a price on pollution, because that's exactly what it does. And we are doing it in an affordable way. We're giving the money back to families so that life is affordable, and creating the incentive for them to save even more money, using LED light bulbs, using smart thermostats in their homes. There are many opportunities for folks to save money, for us to innovate, to create the solutions that the world desperately needs. Next week, I'm in the G7 in France, and I'm going to be promoting Canadian solutions and jobs.
You mentioned phasing out coal. Does Canada still sell coal internationally?
I think it's really important that we phase out coal and also ensure just transition for workers, that we need to be making sure, as we move to a cleaner future, much healthier to get out of coal for folks and communities, but that everyone is part of the solution. I'm very proud that we are working with Labour, that Labour has gone to communities that will be impacted, to look at what are the opportunities for those communities, how do we support workers, how do we ensure that they're part of the transition to a cleaner future, and we're going to continue to do that.
You know what, I'll give you a quick question.
Okay, thank you. You talked about stewardship of plastic, the fact that we're drowning in plastic. I wondered, are you looking at stewardship in terms of packaging and the excessive packaging that we see in virtually every part of this country?
Thank you very much. And I think that is a huge opportunity for us. We can do a lot better. We shouldn't be wrapping plastics in utensils in plastic and putting them in plastic bags. That we're working with industry, and actually I've had good conversations with industry across the board who understand that they have a responsibility to better. We are going to push them. Extended producer responsibility is really important. And actually it's really great because you're seeing new opportunities for businesses. If you just go, many of you live in Ottawa Centre, I believe, you can go to New Grocery where you actually have no plastic in the shop, that nothing is wrapped. You can bring your own containers, they will provide paper bags. We have an opportunity to do a lot better while creating good jobs, while growing our economy, while not throwing out value. Plastics right now, we are throwing out value. That makes no sense. We can do a lot better, and we need to do a lot better.
And that takes us just slightly over your time, but since all of the other parties also went slightly over on a round or two of questioning, I think that levels it out for everybody. That takes us to the end of our round of questioning. So Minister and officials, thank you so much for being here. To tidy up this part of the meeting, we still need to go through 12 votes as the committee members, but we don't need our witnesses here. And so at this point, as we move into the vote part of this process, if anybody wants to pack up, including those at the table, not the members of the committee, but the others, we'll go through the 12 votes, and that will take us to 5 o'clock, or I expect 5 o'clock when we are scheduled to go in camera for some committee business.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Merci.
Okay, thank you. So members, before you head off, I was going to move right into the votes. So Mr. Bosio, and who else did I lose? Yeah, we're still going. So the first vote that we need to do is McKinnon's here. Yeah. Okay, so the first question we have is, shall vote number 1 under Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency carry? So all in favor?
On division.
On division, okay.
Mr. Amos? Mr. Bosio? Ms. Zerwich? Oh, sorry, I think sorry.
Oh,
I heard her.
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. We're just
traumatized.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're good. Do we get the? So we're all in favor or opposed? Okay. Shall vote number 5 under Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency carry? Shall vote number 1 under Department of the Environment carry? Shall vote number 5 under Department of the Environment carry? Shall vote number 10 under Department of the Environment carry? Shall vote number 15 under Department of the Environment carry? Shall vote number 20 under Department of the Environment carry? Shall vote number 25 under Department of the Environment carry? Shall vote number 30 under Department of the Environment carry? Oh, didn't see that coming.
Thomas didn't even brush their eyes.
Shall vote number 1 under Parks Canada carry? And shall vote number 5 under Parks Canada carry? And finally, shall I report the votes on the main estimates to the House? Okay. All right, well, that actually took slightly less time than I had expected. Right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we'll suspend the meeting, clear the room, and then go into the in-camera business that we have scheduled.